Let's strip away the fairy tales and get down to the cold, hard mechanics of how attraction actually works. We've all seen it. The guy who has the $1 million mansion and the movie star looks, yet he can't seem to keep a woman interested for more than a week. On the flip side, you see the guy who seemingly has nothing on paper, yet women are absolutely glued to him. This happens because obsession isn't a logical choice a woman makes based on your resume. It is a visceral, emotional reaction to your character and your energy. Most men are taught by movies and social media that if they just provide enough or admire enough, they will win. But that approach is the fastest way to become a background character in her life. When you worship a woman, you aren't showing her love, you're showing her that you believe she is above you. And you cannot be obsessed with someone you feel is beneath you. The real secret to triggering a deep, mental loop in a woman's mind is self-mastery. True obsession is born when a woman encounters a man who is a complete anomaly in a world full of simps and people pleasers. Most guys are transparent. Within 10 minutes of meeting them, a woman knows exactly how they feel, what they want, and how easily she can influence them. That predictability is the ultimate attraction killer. Obsession, however, requires mystery and a sense of challenge. She needs to feel like she is on an emotional journey where your attention is the prize at the end of the road. If you hand her that prize the second she walks through the door, the journey is over. She has no reason to think about you, no reason to wonder if you're thinking about her, and no reason to work for your respect. You've effectively removed the hunt, and without the hunt, there is no value. This is where the concept of being a challenge and a reward comes into play. You have to be the man who is genuinely kind and high value, but also the man who has a no-go zone that he will never compromise. Most men swing between two failing extremes. They are either nice guys who are too available and suffocating, or they try to act like bad boys by being cold and toxic. Neither works because both are acts. Women are highly intuitive. They can smell a fake persona from a mile away. Real obsession is triggered by a man who is so secure in his own mission and his own life that a woman's presence is a welcome addition, not a survival requirement. When she realizes that you don't need her to feel complete, it creates an immediate shift in her psychology. Suddenly, she feels the need to prove herself to you. To truly become unforgettable, you have to break the pattern of every other guy she has ever met. Think about the average woman's inbox. It is filled with men asking for her time, complimenting her looks, and trying to earn her favor. If you do the same, you are just another notification she clears in the morning. But when you stay grounded, when you lead with your purpose, and when you are selective about your energy, you become a puzzle she has to solve. That mental effort she spends trying to figure you out is exactly what turns into obsession. Every minute she spends wondering why you didn't text back immediately or what you're working on while you're silent is a minute she is investing her emotions in you. Obsession is not about what you do for her. It's about the mental space you occupy when you aren't even there. Finally, you must understand that the uncomfortable truth is that women crave a leader, not a follower. If you are constantly looking to her for cues on how to act, what to say, or how to feel, you have handed her the steering wheel of the relationship. That responsibility is actually a burden that kills her desire. She wants to be with a man who is a mountain, unshakable, focused, and in total control of his own emotional state. When you master your own emotions and refuse to let her moods dictate your happiness, you become magnetic. You become the man she can't stop talking about to her friends, the man she checks her phone for every 5 minutes, and the man she fears losing. That is the difference between being a temporary option and a permanent obsession. You have to be the man who knows his worth so deeply that she has no choice but to see it too. 1. The power of strategic silence. Silence is not just a lack of noise. It is a high-level psychological tool that most men completely ignore. We live in an age of instant gratification where everyone is constantly shouting for attention, and most guys think that by talking more, explaining more, and being louder, they will secure a woman's interest. They couldn't be more wrong. When you overcommunicate, you remove every ounce of mystery from your persona. You become an open book that she has already finished reading. Silence, however, forces her to become the narrator of your story. Women are naturally intuitive and analytical. They are wired to look for subtext and hidden meanings. When you don't fill every gap in the conversation, and when you don't feel the need to explain your every move or justify why you were busy, her mind goes into overdrive. She begins to fill that silence with her own thoughts, and those thoughts almost always revolve around you. This is where the mental loop begins. If she has to wonder what you're thinking or what you're doing, she is actively investing mental energy into you. That investment is the exact soil where obsession grows. Most men are terrified of a quiet phone. They think that if they don't reply within 30 seconds, she'll lose interest or move on to someone else. What they don't realize is that replying instantly every single time sends a loud, clear message. I have nothing more important going on than waiting for you. It signals that you are constantly available, which immediately tanks your value. You aren't providing security by being her on call entertainment. You are providing boredom. Fire needs oxygen to burn, and in a relationship or a pursuit, silence is that oxygen. By being selective with your words and staying calm enough to let a conversation breathe, you create a vacuum. Naturally, she will feel the urge to fill that vacuum. She'll start replaying your last interaction, wondering why you're so composed, and trying to figure out the code to your personality. You have to understand that a woman's imagination is a million times more vivid and powerful than any text message you could ever send. When you use strategic silence, you aren't just being quiet, you are letting her own mind do the work of making you unforgettable. 2. The leverage of walking away. The most powerful position you can ever hold in any interaction is the genuine ability to get up and leave. This isn't about playing a toxic game, throwing a fit, or trying to manipulate her into chasing you. It is about a deep-seated, internal confidence that says your self-respect is not for sale. A man who is terrified of losing a woman has already lost her respect. Why? Because she can sense that your happiness is dependent on her presence. That kind of dependency is a heavy burden that kills attraction instantly. Women are drawn to men who beg, plead, or negotiate for their affection. They are drawn to the man who has a clear set of standards and the balls to enforce them. When you show that you value your own time, your mission, and your peace of mind more than her current mood or validation, you become an anomaly. You become the man who cannot be controlled, and that is a massive aphrodisiac. If a woman knows that no matter how she treats you, whether she cancels plans last minute, disrespects your time, or acts hot and cold, you will still be there waiting with a smile. You have removed all the tension. And without tension, there is no attraction. Walking away provides that necessary friction. It sends a message that words never could. I enjoy your company, but I don't need it to feel whole. This level of self-sufficiency is absolutely intoxicating. It forces her to reevaluate where she stands in your life. Suddenly, you aren't just another guy trying to please her. You are a man of high value who could actually disappear if his standards aren't met. The fear of loss is a much stronger motivator than the promise of gain. When she realizes that you are willing to walk away from anything that doesn't serve your purpose or meet your standards, she stops taking you for granted and starts working to keep you. True leverage is knowing that you are your own greatest asset, and if she doesn't see that, you're perfectly fine moving on without a second thought. 3. Killing predictability. Predictability is the graveyard of desire. If a woman can predict your every text, your every reaction, and the exact script of every date you go on, she will eventually get bored. It's not because she's mean or fickle. It's because human beings are wired to seek novelty and excitement. Most men fall into a routine because they think it makes them look stable and reliable. While stability is great for a mortgage, it's a total buzzkill for passion. If you are a human calendar who sends the same good morning text at 8 a.m. every single day, you are effectively putting her attraction to sleep. You become a background noise in her life rather than a focal point. To keep a woman obsessed, you have to keep her on her toes. You have to be the man who is impossible to fully map out. This doesn't mean you should be a chaotic mess or an unreliable flake. It means you should have enough depth and mystery that she's never quite sure what your next move is going to be. Keeping her guessing is about changing the pace and breaking the expected patterns. If you're usually the one who initiates, back off for a few days and focus on your work. If you're usually quiet, surprise her with a moment of intense, direct confidence. Switch up the types of environments you take her to, and don't be afraid to challenge her ideas instead of just nodding along. Predictability makes you safe, and while safe is comfortable, safe is never sexy. Unpredictable men stand out because they trigger a woman's natural curiosity. She stays hooked because she's constantly trying to solve you. Every time she thinks she has you figured out, show her a new layer of your personality or a new goal you're chasing. This keeps the emotional energy high and ensures that she never feels like the hunt is over. When you live a life that isn't on autopilot, you project an energy that is magnetic and alive. You want her to check her phone not because she knows you've texted, but because she's excited to see what you've said this time. Stay mysterious, stay sharp, and never let her feel like she's seen your whole hand. For emotional control over physicality, we live in a world that tells men they need to be ripped, rich, and driving a supercar to get a woman's attention. While a six-pack or a flashy car might get you a first glance, they are completely useless when it comes to creating a deep, lasting obsession. What actually separates the unforgettable man from the one she forgets by next Tuesday is his internal fortress, his emotional control. Women are biologically and psychologically wired to seek out a man who is unshakable under pressure. They're drawn to the calm in the storm. Most men are complete slaves to their emotions. They explode in anger when they're frustrated. They beg and plead when they feel they're losing her, or they sulk like children when they don't get their way. Every time you lose your cool or react with desperation, you are screaming to the world, but you are not in control of yourself. If you can't control yourself, she knows you can't lead her, and that realization kills attraction instantly. Your ability to stay centered while she is experiencing a whirlwind of emotions is one of the most attractive traits you can possess. Think about it. If she pulls away to test the waters and you immediately panic, flood her phone with texts, and demand to know what's wrong, you have just failed the test. She sees weakness, and weakness never fueled obsession. If she challenges you and you break under the pressure by getting defensive or emotional, she sees immaturity. True strength is not about how much you can bench press. It's about how much emotional turbulence you can handle without flinching. When you remain grounded, it proves that your happiness and your sense of self-worth are not tied to her current mood or her immediate validation. You become the rock she can lean on, but more importantly, you become the man she respects because she cannot rattle him. That kind of composure is rare, and it is precisely that rarity that makes her gravitate toward you. 5. The law of scarcity, the mechanics of human psychology are incredibly straightforward. Scarcity creates value, while abundance creates indifference. If you want a woman to obsess over you, you have to understand that your presence cannot be a constant, guaranteed commodity. If you are always at her disposal, replying within seconds, and ready to drop your entire life the moment she snaps her fingers, you have effectively devalued yourself. Think of a diamond. It isn't just valuable because it's shiny. It's valuable because there isn't one sitting on every street corner. When you make yourself too common, you become like the air we breathe, essential, perhaps, but completely ignored because it's always there. The moment she realizes she can have your time, your energy, and your focus whenever she wants, the chase is over and the obsession dies with it. A lot of guys think being 100% available is a way to show loyalty or dedication, but in reality, it just screams that you have nothing better to do. It communicates that you have no mission, no goals, and no life of your own outside of her. Scarcity is about having firm boundaries and a life that is moving forward regardless of whether she is in it or not. When you are genuinely busy building your empire, chasing your fitness goals, or hanging out with your brothers, you aren't playing a game by being unavailable. You are actually high value. This creates a natural gap where she has to wonder where you are, what you're doing, and when she'll see you next. That space is where desire grows. If she never has the chance to miss you, she never has the chance to realize how much she wants you. By being selective with your time, you force her to realize that your attention is a premium resource, and she will start to treat it with the respect it deserves. 6. Earning the reward there is a fundamental truth about human nature that most men ignore. We never truly respect what comes to us for free. If you want a woman to be deeply, emotionally invested in you, she has to earn your attention. We are hardwired to value the things we have to work for, sweat for, and wait for. Think about the last time you saved up for months to buy something you really wanted, you took care of it, you valued it, and you were proud of it. Now think about something you got for free without trying. You probably lost it or forgot about it within a week. Women are no different. When you shower a woman with unlimited validation, constant compliments, and endless attention before she's even shown you she's worth it, you're handing her a participation trophy. It feels meaningless to her because she didn't have to do a single thing to get it. Desperation is the ultimate obsession killer. When you beg for her time or constantly try to win her over with gifts and favors, you are telling her that you don't think you're enough on your own. To change the dynamic, you must hold your standards high. You should not be rewarding bad behavior, low effort replies, or flaky attitudes with your most precious resource, your time. When you make her step up to meet your level, something incredible happens in her psychology. She starts to see your focus as a genuine reward. She thinks he doesn't give this to everyone, so the fact that he's giving it to me means I've done something right. This creates a powerful emotional investment. She will work harder to keep your interest because she knows it wasn't handed to her on a silver platter. Stop being the man who begs for a seat at her table and start being the man who makes her prove she deserves a seat at yours. 7. The strength to disagree. One of the most common traps men fall into is the yes man syndrome. In a desperate attempt to be liked or to avoid any form of conflict, they nod their heads at every opinion she has, laugh at jokes that aren't funny, and pretend to share her interests even when they couldn't care less. They think that by being perfectly agreeable, they are becoming the perfect man, but in reality, they are becoming invisible. You have to understand that women do not obsess over men they can push around or manipulate. If you have no friction, you have no spark. When you agree with everything she says, you aren't showing her that you're compatible. You're showing her that you have no backbone, no core values, and no identity of your own. You become a mirror, reflecting back whatever she wants to see, and eventually, she'll get tired of looking at herself and go find a man who actually challenges her. Standing your ground and disagreeing without fear is a massive indicator of high value. It shows that you have an internal compass and a set of principles that aren't for sale just because a beautiful woman is in the room. This often acts as a subtle, subconscious test. On some level, she wants to see if you will fold under the slightest bit of pressure. She wants to know if you're a man of substance or just a robot seeking her approval. When you stay firm, calm, and respectful in your conviction, even when she disagrees with you, you become unshakable in her eyes. This creates a powerful emotional tension. It forces her to think, to debate, and to wonder why you are so secure in your own shoes. This isn't about being argumentative or rude. It's about having the quiet confidence to say, I see it differently. That moment of resistance is what makes you a real person to her, rather than just another fan in her comments section. 8. Pacing the investment. Giving too much of yourself too early is a guaranteed death sentence for attraction. Most men make the mistake of pouring out all their time, energy, and emotions before the first few dates are even over. They think they are being romantic or showing potential, but what they are actually doing is signaling a complete lack of self-respect. If you are already rearranging your work schedule, canceling your gym sessions, and blowing up her phone with paragraphs of text for a woman you barely know, you are effectively telling her that your life is empty and she is the only thing of value in it. This creates an immediate imbalance. When you give everything away for free, you strip her of the opportunity to value you. Human beings are hardwired to deeply value what they earn slowly and to quickly discard what is handed to them on a silver platter. The man who wins the mental loop is the guy who gives just enough to spark her interest, but holds back enough to keep her curious. This is the art of pacing your investment. You have to let the attachment grow through the effort she puts in, not the effort you pour out. If you do all the heavy lifting, she has no reason to get emotionally involved. She needs to feel like she is slowly winning more of your time and more of your energy as she proves she's worth it. Think of it like a game of poker. You don't shove all your chips into the middle on the first hand. You play it smart, you observe, and you raise the stakes only when she shows she's ready to play at your level. When you hold back, you create a space for her to step into. You want her to be the one wondering if she's doing enough to keep you interested, rather than you wondering if you're doing enough to keep her. 9. Mission over romance. We have been completely brainwashed by movies and music to believe that romance is the ultimate secret to a woman's heart. We're told that if we just send enough flowers, write enough poems, or stage enough grand gestures, she'll be ours forever. But here's the raw truth: romance without purpose makes you totally replaceable. While a woman might enjoy the attention in the short term, she will never truly obsess over a man who has no direction in life. What actually triggers deep obsession is a man's sense of mission, his drive to build, to achieve, and to conquer his own goals. When you put your calling and your vision above her, your value in her eyes actually skyrockets. It shows that you're a man of discipline and that you are chasing something bigger than a temporary feeling. Deep down, a woman wants to fit into a man's life that is already a powerhouse of activity. She wants to be a part of your world, but she does not want to be your world. If she realizes that she is the absolute center of your universe, she will eventually lose interest. Why? Because there is nothing bigger than her for her to look up to.